Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, ma'am and friends. In this section, I'm going to present my presentation with my friends about audit of the sales and collection cycle, test of controls, and substantive test of transaction. But first, let me introduce myself and my friends. My name is Mutia Putri Hapra, and my friend is Nadia Salsabila. For this presentation, we have 10 table of content. The first one is account and classes and transaction in the sales and collection cycle, business function in the cycle and related document record, methodology for design and test of controls and substantive test of transaction for sales returns and allowance, methodology for design and test of controls and substantive test of transaction for cash receipt, determining whether cash receipt was recorded, preparing proof of cash receipt, test to discover lapping of account receivable, audit test for uncollectible accounts, and the last one is the fact of result of test of controls and substantive test of transaction. For the first section will be presented by Nadia. For Nadia, time is yours.
Okay, I will explain about accounts and classes of transaction in the sales and collection cycle. There are 5 classes of transaction in the sales and collections cycle. First, sales or cash and sales on account. The second, cash receipt. The third, sales return and allowance. And fourth, write-off uncollectible accounts and estimate of bad debt expense. The way accounting information flows through the various accounts in the sales and collection cycle is shown in figure. In this figure, also show that with the expectation of cash sale, every transaction and amount is ultimately included in one of 2 balance sheet accounts. Account receivable or allowance for uncollectible accounts. For simplicity, we assume that the same internal control exists for both cash and credit sales. Next. And the second, business function in the cycle and related document and record. There are 8 business functions within the sales and collection cycle. First, processing customer order. Second, granting credit. And the third, shipping goods. 4, billing customers and recording sales. 5, processing and recording cash receipt. 6, processing and recording sales return and allowance. 7, writing of uncollectible accounts receivable. And the last, providing for bad debt. The classes of transaction, accounts, business, function, and related documents and record for the sales and collection cycle. In this table, there are 8 business functions for the sales and collection cycle are shown in the third column of the table. They occur in every business in the recording of the 5 classes of transaction in the sales and collection cycle. Under business function, observe that the first 4 processes are for recording sales, while every other class of transaction include only one business function. Next. Methodology for designing test of control and substantive test of transaction for sales. Understand internal control sales. To gain and understand, the auditor can use the client flowchart or other documentation and perform walkthrough tests. Assess, plan, control risk sales. There are 4 steps to this process. First, determine a framework for assessing control risk, which is provided by the transaction-related audit objective. The second, identify key internal control and deficiencies for sales. The third, associate the key internal controls and deficiencies with the audit objective. And the last one, assess control risk for each objective by evaluating control and deficiencies. This step is important because it affects the auditor's decision about both test of control and substantive test. It is highly subjective decision. In this figure, illustrate the methodology for obtaining an understanding of internal control and designing test of control and substantive test of transaction for sales. The key control activities for sales. Adequate separation of duties. Proper separation of duties help to prevent misstatement due to both error and fraud. To prevent fraud, management should then cache access to anyone responsible for entering sales and cache receive transaction information into the computer. Proper authorization. The auditor is concerned about authorization at 3 points. The first, credit must be properly authorized before a sale takes place. The second, goods should be shipped only after proper authorization. The third, prices, including basic term, freight, and discounts, must be authorized. The first two controls are meant to prevent the loss of company assets by shipping to fictitious customers of those who will fail to pay for the goods. Price authorization is meant to ensure that the sale is billed at the price set by company policy. And adequate document and record may be paper or electronic. The key control activity for sales or controls. The first, pre-number document. This helps prevent both the failure and duplicate billings and recordings. Monthly statement. This is a useful control because it encourages customers to respond if their balance is incorrect. Internal verification process can be manual or computerized. Determine extent of test of control after key control and deficiencies are identified. Auditors assess control risk and determine the extent of test controls. Redesign substantive tests of transaction for sales. Substantive tests are designed for each transaction. Related audit objectives include: the first, recorded sales occur. There are 3 types of possible misstatement. The first, sales included in the journal for which no shipment was made. The second, sales recorded more than once. And the third, shipment made to the non-exist customers and recorded as sales. The first 2 types of misstatement can be due to an error or fraud. The last type is always a fraud. The potential consequences of all 3 are significant because they lead to an overstatement of assets and income. And the second, existing sales transactions are recorded. This is less likely to be traced because the risk of overstatement of sales is more likely than understatement. The third, direction of test. The direction of test fulfill different objectives. First, tracing from source documents to the journal test for omit transaction or completeness objective. And the second, forging from the journal back to the source document test for non-exist transaction or occurrence objective. Next slide. Sales are accurately recorded or auditor concerns. First, shipping the amount of goods ordered. Second, accurately billing for the amount of goods shipped. And the third, accurately recording the amount billed in the accounting record. And next, sales transaction are correctly included in the master file and correctly summarized. And the last one, recorded sales are correctly classified. And last one, sales are recorded on the correct dates. Summary of methodology for sales. First, transaction-related audit objective. Second, key existing controls. The third, test of controls. And fourth, deficiencies. Deficiencies identified by the auditor indicate the absence of effective controls. And last one, substantive test. Design and performance format audit procedure. Properly design and format audit program do the following. The first, eliminate duplicate procedures. And second, all procedures are on anyone's domain and completed at the same time. And the last one, enable the most effective order which to perform procedures. Four, sales return and allowance. Transaction-related audit objectives are essentially the same for credit memos as those for processing sales, with two notable differences. The first, materiality. Sales return and allowance are often so immaterial that auditors can ignore them. The second, emphasis on the occurrence objective. Auditors usually emphasize testing recorded transaction to uncover any depth of cash in the collection of accounts receivable that was covered up by fictitious sales return and allowance. Next slide will present by Mutia.
Well, thank you, Nadia, for the presentation. For the fifth is methodology for design and test of controls and substantive tests of transaction for cash receipt. Cash receipts tests of controls and substantive tests of transaction audit procedures are developed around the same framework used for sales. But of course, the same specific objectives are applied to cash receipts. Given the transaction-related objectives, they follow this process. The first process is determine key internal control for each audit objective. The second process is designing tests of control for each control used to support a reduced control risk. And the last process is design substantive tests of transaction to test for monetary misstatement for each objective. Six is determine whether cash receipt was recorded. The most difficult type of cash assemblyment for auditor to detect it when it occurs before the cash is recorded. In the cash receipt journal or other cash listing, especially if the sale and cash receipt are recorded simultaneously. For example, if a grocery store clerk checks cash and intentionally fails to record the sales receipt of cash on the cash register, it is extremely difficult to discover the thief. Next is the type of control will, and of course, depend on the type of business. For example, the control for the retail store in which the cash is received by the same person who sells the merchandise and enters cash receipt in a cash register should be different from the controls for a company in which all receipts are received through the mail several weeks after the sales haven't taken place. Seven is preparing proof of cash receipt. Proof of cash receipt is a useful audit procedure to test whether all record cash receipts have been deposited in all the bank accounts. In this test, the total cash receipt recorded in the cash receipt journal for a given period, such as a month, are reconciled with actual deposit made to the bank during the same period. A difference in the two may be the result of deposit in transit and other items, but the amount can be reconciled and compared. Next is tasked to discover lapping of account receivable. Lapping of account receivable is the postponed of entries for the collection of receivable to conceal an existing cash shortage. Um, the investment in is perpetrated by a person who handle cash receipt and then enters them into the computer system. He or she defers recording the cash receipt from the one customer and cover the shortage with a receipt of another. This disembowelment can be easily prevented by separating of duties and a mandatory vacation policy for employees who both handle cash and enter cash receipt into the system. It can be detected by comparing the name, amount, and a date shown on a remittance advice with cash receipt, journal entries, and related duplicate deposit slips. Because this because these procedures is relatively many consuming and it is ordinarily performed only when specific concern with embezzlement existing because of a deficiency in internal control. Next is audit test for uncollectible accounts. This is samely for sales retention allowance. The auditors primarily primarily concerned in the audit of the write-off uncollectible account receivable and is possible of client personnel covering up an embezzlement by writing off account receivable that have already been collected. The major control for preventing this fraud is properly authorization of the write-off uncollectible account by designated level of management only after a thorough investigation of the reason of the customer has not paid. The other controls are the preparation of a periodic ages accounts receivable trial balance for reviewing and follow up by appropriate management personnel, a policy of writing off uncollectible accounts when they are no longer likely to be collected. And the last is the effect of result of controls and substantive tests of transaction. The result of the test of control and substantive test of transaction have a significant effect on the remainder of the audit, especially on the substantive test of details of balance. The part of the audit most affected by the test of controls and substantive test of transaction for the sales collection cycle are the balance in account receivable, cash, bad debt expense, and allowance for doubtful account. Well, that's all about our presentation, and sorry for all the mistakes. And if there are any comments or question, please tell us. Maybe that's all. Thank you very much for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.